our guest for today is a proud father of 2 kids. He's a content creator and is quite active on various social media platforms. He's also a podcaster. He's a person who has mastered the art of balancing passion with profession. He's a senior project manager at British Telecom and also provides one-on-one coaching to professionals on communication and mindset. He also trains company employees on leadership and management. He hails from UP but is a true Delhiite at heart. He lives by 4 values which form the core of his life: think, speak, act, and achieve. Wow! That introduction can just make you so curious to meet this man in person. So without making you wait any longer, let me welcome my friend, Mr. Tauseef Hasan.
Thank you so much, Ruby. I really appreciate it. And usually this is the time when I end my professional activities and I start my passion activities. So thank you so much for giving such a wonderful introduction. Having not knowing so much things about myself, you have nicely talked about me. So thank you so much. I'm really honored.
Thank you so much, first of all, for accepting my invitation, because I'm also a beginner. So people generally, they don't want to get engaged with beginners. They want, like, I have approached few people. They said, okay, how many people you have interviewed? I said, I'm a beginner. They said, okay, once you do 10 or 12, then come to us. I said, fine.
I mean, it's this doesn't make sense to me. If you're genuinely interested and passionate about sharing your perspective and experience to the world and you want to make a difference in this world, it doesn't really matter what's the size of your audience, because even if one person is listening to you, I think your purpose has a contribution and your purpose will be fulfilled and it has a meaning to it. So I mean, I never ever ask anyone if they have the audience or if they don't have it. Most of the people have conducted recorded and some of them do it live. This question is absolutely out of the box. I never ask for how many audience do you have now. So and you are a family member, so I mean it's without a question. It was for me to accept you.
My pleasure. Definitely, if you can make a difference in life of one person, I think your life is successful.
Absolutely.
The purpose of your birth on this planet has been just okay. So, Tauseef sir, moving on, tell us something about your childhood.
It was very crazy and full of a lot of mistakes, a lot of naughtiness. I mean, people used to say that I used to ask very big questions. Like I used to ask my Nanaji, how much this helicopter cost? And Nanaji would say to my mom that this guy will do something someday or other. He used to call my mom with her name, and but I was actually born and brought up in a very small hometown. It is situated in Amethi district, which is very controversially famous for its political affairs, as you might know. That earlier it used to be deemed for, I would say, a forte for Congress, but now it is owned by different parties. And so the problem was, it was very ironical if I share this with you that I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, but suddenly a lot of things changed in my family. But my grandfather actually was he never went to school, and my father was ninth failed. He failed in ninth grade, and so my uncle. It was only my mom who was actually born and brought up in Delhi, and she was educated. And you would be surprised to know that most of the females at that time used to come to my mom to get the handwritten papers, get those written for my mom only because she was the only educated female in my hometown. And when I was age 7, nobody actually sent me to school. My mom had a very little say in the family. And when one of the neighbor came to my home and he said a lot of things to my grandfather that why don't you send the kid to school? He's now 7 and she should study. So my grandfather always wanted me to work in field, as opposed to my mom, who always wanted me to, study and do something better in life, as opposed to what all the other family members did in the family. So conflict started, but somehow I was enrolled into school and I started going. It was all Hindi medium. There was no English culture or tradition. I didn't even know what was ABCD till third, because it was only my mom who actually introduced me to English, because she was educated. And I, from sixth standard, I started learning what ABCD was. But by the time when I was six, uh, my mom actually gave me extra tuition to one of the teacher who used to teach me English, but not that great. I used to spend like 1 hour, some 2 or 3 days in a week. But as you all know, that if you do not have the English subject in the school till fifth standard, imagine how would you cope up? Like, you would not even know how to speak. You would not even know what English is. So, but I was very passionate about English. I would definitely like to share about everything, but coming back to your question, I would not like to go in much in detail. But my childhood, like, was spent in a very very miserable situation, because my grandfather ousted my family. He asked my father and my mother that I would not be able to fund your kids' education, would not be able to fund your lifestyle. You just go ahead and manage everything on your own. Luckily, my Nanaji has given a place to us, and he called my mom one day and said that our hometown's home is like empty. You can just go ahead and start living there. So we started living there. I was the eldest son, and I had to manage the house chores, and at the same time I had to study a lot. I remember I used to travel almost 13 kilometers on a cycle one way, 26 kilometer, to and fro every day. I would wake up like 4:30 a.m. in the morning, and I would go irrespective of what would be the weather. I would go, and just to get the coaching session, because at that time there was no education in the school as well. They would just charge like 3.5 rupees, a fee for a month, and they would not actually give any kind of education. We would be dependent on the external coaches. Somehow I did my intermediate education from that district in Raebareli, because we shifted there at Nanaji's place. And in 2006, the time came where I actually came to Delhi. So there is different story altogether. How did I move into Delhi, and what did happen? I would love to talk about it. But I would say childhood was very miserable. I did some of the toughest thing in my life, that I could have never imagined, being born and with a silver spoon in the mouth, and would have never imagined that I would do those things. But I'm very very thankful to those experiences, because I give credit to all those experiences and the teachings and the learnings that I received from my mom and the teachers, that I became very tough, and was ready to take on any kind of challenges and withstand the storm, that was about to come in Delhi when I came here.
Amazing. Like, I mean, who would believe that? I was like listening to your story like this. Actually, you didn't know how to speak English. You were not acquainted with ABCD. I mean, this is unbelievable. But definitely, whatever hardships you face in the childhood, I think they mold you. They
Yeah,
are they are the reason you are so chiseled at this moment of life.
yeah,
Definitely. So, as you told that the kind of atmosphere in your
yeah,
family is that because you wanted to study, you were made to live by yourself,
yeah.
by your family. So, somewhere, I think parents have a very important role to play in our lives.
True.
Because I think in my life also, I was the first child in my we had
Oh,
a big joint family. And I was the first child to go to an English medium school, and that to a convent school, and that to, that to a co-ed school.
you broke the traditions.
Yeah, so according to my uncles,
Hmm.
since like from the age of 6 years, I was running away with the boy all the time. She
Oh,
will run away. She will run away one day because I was in a co-ed school. So that I think the parents are responsible for what we are today.
absolutely, absolutely.
So, Tausif ji, okay, you told us about your personal life, right? How
Yes.
things changed and when you moved to Amity and everything. There must be one pivotal point in your professional life as well.
Of
It
course.
might have brought a 360-degree change in your life. So, can we know about that?
Absolutely. So Surbhi, I think it's a very good question, and in everybody's life, there is something or other that makes you realize that this is the time to change. This is the time to take the 360-degree turn or transform yourself completely. Now, when it comes to improving my communication, so when I came to Delhi and I started with working with one of the first multinational organization, I figured out that my communication was not as great as it was supposed to be in that environment. I was not fitting into it. Although I could speak, I could understand, but of course, coming from a tier two city or coming from a village, of course, and then joining people, the atmosphere who come from convent, or who already have some good experience or exposure working in some good MNCs. So I, along with myself, there were a couple of more people who were from UP, and we used to face a lot of hardship when it comes to communicating. I remember when we would write email, my colleagues would always make fun of my sentence constructions, and I would always overhear, and I would feel very bad about it. But it would all go. I used to think to myself that I'm a beginner. I can get along. As long as I can understand the customer, I can maintain my performance. I'm happy, and because my manager was also happy, and I was getting always getting the top rating. I got promoted as well, and when I became a team leader, I was given a responsibility to handle a certain set of people. I started doing that, but I never realized that my communication was one of my opportunity areas. So one day in 2015, it was like 3 to 4 years. I was in the similar position, and I was expecting a promotion, and everybody else around me was also expecting that I will get promoted. Now the irony is in the corporate, most of the time, I'm not saying that everybody is like the same, but most of the time, nobody will tell you that you have some issues with yourself. You have got some opportunity area that you need to improve upon. Everybody would want that you stay wherever you are, you stay in your comfort zone and give the opportunity to other, or let the other person speak on your behalf or brand themselves and get whatever they want, but not you. Unfortunately, it happened with me as well. Nobody told me for 4 years on the similar position. I also not realized that I need to work onto something. One odd day, I was given a responsibility to start a new business altogether, and I was said that if you start this business successfully, you will get this promotion because the chances will be it will be highly likely that you'll get promoted. So I did okay, fine. I started putting my heart and soul. One day I saw one of my manager's manager. He was the assistant vice president coming up to me. He approached me. He said, "Tauseef, can you please take your laptop and come with me?" And it was pretty unusual because most often than not, your manager will approach you for something, whatever you do on a daily basis, and he will ask for the reports and you will report to him. But it was very unusual that your manager's manager is coming up to you and asking, giving his attention and asking some help. He said, "Come along." I said, "Okay, fine." I took my laptop. I was having certain questions. I was already overwhelmed that I don't know what's going to happen. He didn't even tell me what's the agenda, what's going to happen next. He said, "Just come along." I said, "Okay, fine." He started doing TikTok. I just followed him. He started moving to certain direction into executive long that I never been into. It was like an area where president, CEOs used to sit. But he was very pretty comfortable. He said, "Come, Tauseef, I have certain things to do regarding the new business that you're handling." I said, "Okay, fine." He took me to a big board meeting room, and where I think there was a marketing president, there was another executive, and he was AVP. And he asked me to sit in front of marketing president because he wanted to ask certain questions regarding the campaign that he was running so that he could give me certain good clients and I would be able to convert them and make some revenue for the business, or at least start with that. So what happened is he threw a couple of questions on me. I was already overwhelmed because I never ever spoke to people with such a higher authority in my life. And I was overwhelmed. I was thinking to myself that even if I had the ability to that I could express myself, I had the entire knowledge as to what I was supposed to say. but I could not even speak a single word. I could not utter a single word. And I was just looking into his eyes. And it was very embarrassing moment for me. And more than me, it was very embarrassing for my managers. Now imagine that if I'm not speaking for the business that I'm representing, what what more embarrassing would it be than this? So, I was thinking to myself that I don't think that I'm gonna get a promotion. It has spoiled everything. All the hard work that I did. So these kind of negative self-talks I was having, I started to having a lot of self-doubt. Then when I could not utter a single word, my manager's manager looked into my eyes straight and said, Tauseef, we'll talk later on. You may leave the room, no problem. I took my laptop, and while I was coming back from the room, I was having certain conversations, those auto suggestions, self talks. That what did I do? I could have said that I had everything in my mind. Why was I not able to express myself? What happened with me all of a sudden? All of a sudden, the answers to those questions started coming to my mind, but I was not able to express them at that time. And I realized that if if after this I don't improve myself, then I think it's high time because I'm gonna be staying wherever I am. I'm not gonna be wherever I want to go. So that actually one of the I would say one of the life defining moment for me, because that incident gave me a charge, gave me an energy that I need to take this as a constructive criticism, and I need to accept it as a feedback, and I need to accept that there is something that lacks within me, and I need to accept and I need to move on and improve upon this. And from there on, uh, I started working onto this, and I realized that it doesn't really matter that I used to, before that incident, I used to think that once you get out of the college, you don't need to educate yourself because your education is over once you get out of the college. But I realized that your life education actually start when you get out of the college. And I started working on it. Then I got a lot of success that I would like to share with you.
Definitely, yeah. I have all yours. Please, please go ahead. Definitely, we would like to know the strategies, the
Mhm,
plan of action which you followed, and what helped you move from your comfort zone
mhm.
to excelling your discomfort zone. What was the thing which you applied or learned?
Certainly. So, Surbi, one thing that I would like to share here is like since my childhood, I always had fire within me that I want to do something. I didn't know. It was pretty unconscious at that time. And when it comes to improving my communication, I remember when I didn't know how to speak English, I used to commentate in local cricket tournament during my sixth or seventh standard. So how did I improve my English at that time? I remember I used to have that small little transistor, and I used to put ever-ready batteries, three ever-ready batteries into that transistor. And usually, what happens if India goes to play in West Indies, the cricket match goes on for the entire night. And I would remember I used to sleep on cots, during that time, and I would keep the transistor near my ears, and I would listen to English commentary for the entire night. And sometime I would just sleep with the transistor just to find that all the batteries ran out in the morning. Again, I would have to ask, my mom to give me some extra money to get those batteries in. I was very obsessed to actually learn English from my childhood. So, because of my interest, I used to listen everything that used to be in English. I would, at that time, I used to spend 5 rupees for an English newspaper where I used to go and attend college, and I would especially bring that paper in. And I try to, I bought that Cambridge dictionary at that time, this thick, and I used to, mark those vocabularies that I would not understand, and this is how I actually started, learning English from that very childhood. And people used to call me. One day, somebody invited me to, commentate, and so I said, "Can you commentate in English?" I said, "Okay, I can try." I I started commentating in English the way I used to listen on transistor, and everybody was like, "What happened? Who is commentating in English?" Nobody was there actually to actually digest the fact that somebody could even speak English and commentate, although that was not at all acceptable to what level of English that we accept now. But from there, the journey started. Transformation started there. But of course, when I came to Delhi, I realized that it was not enough. So that incident it happened in 2015. From there on, you know, I joined another multinational company, which was British Telecom. I think I got a very good atmosphere there because ultimately you are who you surround yourself with. And I realized that people were very supportive there. And there was an icing on the cake. So I was selected. So I've always been very hardworking, irrespective of what my communication, how was my communication was. But started getting feedback that, in 2018, I was sitting with one of my manager, and maybe he would have realized that, I can improve my communication. Although within BT, I improved much, but he said that, Tauseef, can I share something with you? I said, okay, fine. I'm very much open to feedback. He said, Tauseef, start reading. That one advice has completely changed my life because, today, I mean, I would say 4 or 5 months back, one of my mentors said, Tauseef, language, language was never a problem with you. You spoke really well. The problem was that you didn't have content. You didn't have perspectives. And I personally feel that that was true because when I started reading, when I started hanging around with the right set of people, when I started listening to podcasts, and surrounding myself with the right set of people, I develop new perspectives because communication is all about speaking your mind. And whatever you have in your mind, the thoughts that you have, if you're not generating new ideas, if you're not reading, if you're not observing, if you're not thinking, you're not generating or developing new thoughts. And you will not be able to speak those thoughts, via your communication ability.
This is Tausif sir, a major problem with all the English learners. Whenever we want to speak in English and we get stuck somewhere, we always come to the conclusion, nah, I'm not good at English. And we don't realize that it is not the language, as you said.
Language, yeah.
It is not a barrier. The barrier is that you lack content, you lack
Of
knowledge,
course.
because you have never made efforts to read, you have never made efforts to listen, and these are
Absolutely.
the two ways in which you are giving input to your brain.
That's
So
what that's what I always say, that there are three inputs to communication. Listening and observing, reading and writing, and thinking. If you are able to work on the inputs, your output will automatically fall in place.
definitely. So if there is no input, how can we expect output? And all the
That's
time, when I come across my students, they come, ma'am, I cannot speak more than 2, 3 lines. I can, and they blame English, poor English, bichari English. That is like always a target. So we need to understand that there is a very thin line between English and communication skills. But to improve communication skills, you have to improve the kind of input you are giving to yourself. That is very
absolutely. There is no output without input. And ironically, most of the people, when they say somebody is speaking flawlessly, they feel that, they cannot do it. But they don't understand that what is behind the scene, what kind of a preparation do they do, how many, years they have been practicing it, and what are they doing to actually, what fuel they are putting into that, in order to get that output. So, first of all, comparison is a very very bad thing, and also, as we are right now discussing about it, that we are working on the wrong things. If we work on the right things, output which is communicating effectively would automatically improve.
automatic. And
That's
I
very evident. Yeah.
this is one thing which I believe to the core, that English, be it English or be it any language, the learning process is subconscious. As you said, I mean, it is
Yes.
justified over here. You said you slept listening to that commentary and it automatically just
Yeah.
it was flowing out of your mouth.
Yep.
So there was subconscious feeding, and that is
Absolutely.
what happens. So you have to feed yourself first.
Absolutely agree.
So, Tausif sir, what do you think that this language English
Mhm.
is associated with prestige? It is associated with status. And as soon as you start speaking in English, people think, oh my God, he's so knowledgeable, he's so wise. And yes, this is the person we should reach to. But who is responsible for this? Is it
Mm.
education system? Is it family? Or is it society? Who has made this?
I personally feel that one of the fundamental reason behind this is acceptability of this language all over the world. Wherever you go, like 50, I was reading in statistics that I think 54 or 97 countries out of 195, English is spoken and English is understood. So, as we all know, that language is just a vehicle. Like we are able to impart our message to the other person, and the other person is able to understand our messages because of the language, because they understand. So the acceptability is one of the factors. Now, especially in India, as we all know that अंग्रेज चले गए, दो चीज छोड़ के चले गए, English और चाय. So we have, of course, because of the fact that Britishers have ruled India for 200 years, right? And before 1947, during that time, what used to happen that if anybody would speak English, they would get very good positions in the government, like in the British High Commissions. In the the British also have rolled out a lot of jobs, but they required a lot of people who could speak English. And I remember my Nanaji used to tell me that at that time, the teacher who could speak English, they used to get a lot of very, very good salary in universities, in the college. Now, as you talked about subconscious conditioning, this has been actually sowed into our subconscious mind from that time only. That if you speak English, your status in the society and of course your acceptability will be higher, and people will deem you as if you are someone who could they should relate to, they should talk to, they should learn from. But I personally feel that this this uh, this feeling, this atmosphere which has been created is slowly and gradually fading, because you would see a lot of entrepreneurs who are not English speaking. They are becoming millionaires and billionaires. Ultimately, what is happening is, as long as you're able to, share your message, the other parties are able to understand it. Nothing like it. As you all know, that regional language are not getting promoted. Like YouTube channels are building. Like a lot of people are speaking in Hindi and they're opening their YouTube channel. But I would still say, I will still accept that this still prevails. If you're speaking English, people will automatically be putting your attention to them. That guy, or they are speaking in English, so they must be having an upper hand over them. It doesn't really matter how much knowledgeable that person would be, or inferior or superior that person would be, but people would automatically perceive that person as if he's knowledgeable. And yeah,
Certainly, this mindset is fading away, but I
yeah,
think it will take ages.
it will take a lot of time. It will take a lot of, but you know, people who have become more conscious, who have now realized that we should not mistake English with communication.
Yeah.
Communication is not English.
Communication.
Communication is in any language. Communication is your ability to impart your message. It can be in any language. English is just our language. It's just a vehicle.
But
But
I think
because of the fact,
the
yeah,
connection between English and communication is because Britishers have ruled more than 70% of the countries around the world. They have
of course,
colonized those countries.
yes,
So
yes,
that mindset that English is the language of rulers. The moment you start speaking English, you will get a higher position. So that mindset is there, and
mindset is created.
that is why communication skills are mixed
Mistaken with English.
even with English speaking skills. So you told that okay, listening and reading suggested by your manager, it
Yeah,
really worked for you. So definitely, I would like all my viewers to listen and read English. Give your brain a good input for English.
yeah,
And now, as you talked about the entrepreneurs who are
yeah,
speaking in regional language and still they are making millions,
yeah.
and sometimes like my husband, he when I said that when I was preparing my course, so I wanted him to be my dummy, so I said I want to try this course on you before bringing it into the market. So why don't you try to speak like he speaks, but manageable, like he manages to do his work. So I said, why don't you try this? It will take just a month or so and you will improve. So he looked into my eyes and he said, why
Why?
should I learn?
Why should we do that?
Why should I master and practice English? I don't need it at my workplace. He's running a paper business. I
Okay.
don't need it in my family. I don't need it in my friend circle. Whatever level I am, I'm happy with it. Why should I learn? So, what is your message, Tauseef sir, to these kind of people who actually are not, they are happy with wherever they are in English, in communication skills? What is your message to them?
I think everything that you do in your life is based out of passion. Like if you're not passionate about something, I would not force that guy to okay, go ahead and learn how to ride a bicycle, how to ride a car, or how to swim, or how to learn English. It's I'm a very strong believer that you should. There's only one life. You should do everything that you love. You should do everything that you're passionate about. For example, I could have never even thought about coaching and consulting. I could have never even thought about training the organizations on people management or probably share my leadership experience. But it was I realized that it was something that I was truly passionate about. It was something that I was truly willing to do. So when you are willing to do something, nobody can stop you. You will do it automatically. So to all the viewers who are willing to learn English, I think they should start learning it from the core. They should start loving it first.
Yeah,
And something that you will start loving and you're truly passionate about, you will not have to have anybody to push you. You will automatically do. And everything around you will start getting attracted towards you. All the events and the circumstances will you will realize that those are made for you. Right? So to all the people who are not willing, I would say that do what you're willing at. You do what you're truly passionate about. I would not force them that you, of
I
course,
will tell
because
my, I will tell my husband, okay, if you're not willing, it's okay. You may not learn. It's fine.
ultimately, why you want to learn English? Why do you want to ask yourself why? Because if
That's
your
right.
purpose is that you're going to use English communication in your business, go and do it. If your purpose is that you want to use English communication because you want to nurture your kids or you want to be an example in the family because nobody learned English. One of my reason of learning English is that nobody spoken English in my family. I wanted to be one who could speak English fluently, and I don't know any other person in my entire village as well who can still speak English. So you can imagine the level of illiteracy that I had at that time. Not sure about this time, but up to now, I can confidently say that I don't know anybody who could speak English fluently.
But don't you think it is a kind of necessity? See, actually, I'm
Mm.
just taking again the
Yeah.
example of my husband. We have recently, not recently, I think past 3 years,
Mhm.
we have put our business on Amazon. We are taking online orders and everything. So
Okay.
there are times when my husband has to speak with these Amazon people. So again, he faces issues. Okay, either he transfers the call to me or to his
Oh,
brother. So again, the necessity is there.
of
If you need
course,
to expand, you need to get hold of this one language, which is a global language.
of
It is the
course,
first language of the world.
of course.
So that willingness, I think we
I
have to
I I think it's a
make
good
it.
context. I think it's very good context because even if you know that you need this language on a day-to-day basis, and you are actually depending on somebody else, you want somebody else to represent your business. I think this is the time that you should realize that you should learn it
Yeah,
because willingness is one thing, learning something out of need is different thing.
out of need is something different.
Sometime I hate to go to gym, but I know it is important because I want to be fit. i
Definitely.
I want to stay fit. I don't love it, but I'm going to the gym, right? Similarly, I hate to learn English. Why should I learn English? But I know it is important for my business, so I should do it. so so
That is
passion is one thing, but necessity is a different
yes.
thing.
So right now, that is what the point I'm making is
Yeah.
that it is no longer a luxury. It is no longer that okay.
It's a
I
need.
it is a necessity. It is a
Yeah,
need of the hour.
of
Right? Isn't
course.
it? So there are people even when they realize that okay, I'm willing to do it. I have the need. It is a necessity. But they are
Mm,
still struggling even after
mm.
putting a lot of efforts and hard work. They are still struggling. So, what do you want to tell these people who are still struggling?
No, I was actually reading it somewhere that say right from your childhood, to to your school, to your college, and then you come to corporate, and of course to the last time of the last day of the world. You go through certain experiences where your family member contribute to the beliefs that you form, your school and college contributes to the beliefs that you form. So you actually create a kind of program within yourself, right? Like those existing subconscious conditioning. So you, of course, you have the sense of recognition for every experience that you have had in your past, right? So whenever any new thing happens to you, so we do not have the sense of recognition in our brain. So it becomes very fairly difficult for you to digest that fact that how can I do it? Because you don't have the sense of recognition in your brain. You have to create them, right? So the mindset, even before you learn how to communicate, you need to accept certain things. You need to change your mindset because it doesn't matter what we do in life. If we are not prepared to do it, we will not be able to learn it. So even before we jump into learning communication, I think we need to figure out what are those limiting beliefs that we have in self. I personally, whenever I coach leaders, whenever I coach corporate professionals, I always, before even I jump into communication and leadership, I say that these are the five most important aspects of your life. One is your relationship, your health, your peace of mind, your wealth, and your career. These are the five most important aspects of your life because your self awareness is the mother of all the activities or all the things that you are going to embark upon. So, how aware are you about yourself is going to determine where will you go in terms of whatever you want to do in your future. Like, be it improving your communication, be it embarking upon the journey of entrepreneurship, be it becoming a better leader, be it getting a good job in the corporate. It all depend upon your ability to find what you truly love or what you're truly passionate about. What are your strengths and weaknesses? So when it comes to identifying what is holding you, it means that you're trying to figure out what your limiting beliefs are. And the way to do it, take a pen and paper, and in all these five areas of life, like, so one is of course your career. So here we are talking about career, communication as a career. So figure out what are the limiting beliefs that you have. The limiting beliefs may be that someone might have said to you in the past that English is not meant for you, or you're not good at English. Or maybe another thing, example can be that you can never learn English. So if you haven't learned English in the past, it doesn't determine that you cannot learn English in the future, right? If you haven't done anything in the past, does not dictate that you're not going to do the same thing in the future. First of all, we need to change our limiting beliefs. So now, first of all, is what are those limiting beliefs? Take a pen and paper, write down everything that someone might have said to you in the past, or you yourself believe something negative about yourself. Jot them down. And then, of course, you need to question the source of those negative beliefs. So you will find that some of those negative beliefs have been borrowed from someone who are not themselves a great communicator. Maybe that they just said it to bring you down. They just said it because they are not good communicators. They also didn't want to see you at that level. So they brought you down. They brought your energy down. So why the hell we would think about them? Why would we give our attention and energy to them? Why would we not go ahead and think about ourselves, our benefit, and think about ourselves positively? So we will question the source of those beliefs, and then we will think about what's the alternate way of thinking about the situation. That means we are now transforming those negative beliefs. So I think once you transform those negative, so one of the limiting beliefs that I used to have, and I'll confess about it, uh, this is about money. One of the beliefs that I actually inherited from my family is that you should not share your finances with your partner. It was a limiting belief. And when I was doing this exercise of identifying the limiting beliefs in all five most significant areas of life, I figured out that it was my limiting belief. Why the hell I would not share about my finances with my spouse? She's my better half. She is with me through all thick and thins. Why would I not do that? And what are the benefits if I go ahead and share this with her? She became more confident. She became more supportive to me. So an example like this: if someone has said something to you that you cannot become a good speaker, please, for God's sake, do not endorse such kind of limiting belief, because you can do anything in your life that you set your mind to.
Definitely. So sometimes the struggles which we think that these are the internal things, sometimes they turn out to be only the external forces
Absolutely.
which are determined to just pull you down.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now the very last question, Tauseef sir. I would just like, because you have given us a lot of fine things which we can work upon and improve our communication skills and improve as a person on the whole. But last and final, few very quick tips, maybe 2 or 3 quick tips to our listeners, to our viewers.
Regarding improving communication?
Improving communication or self improvement. You told us 5 areas. We have
Yeah.
talked a lot about communication. Something else apart from communication, something else which we can practice on daily basis and become a
Okay.
better version of themselves.
Okay. So I think I would talk about my daily rituals, what I do, right from the time when I wake up in the morning to the time I go to the bed. And I will not say I'm very strict or very stringent about this. I'm very flexible, because, of course, not all of the times you can go according to what you want. Sometimes there will be commitments, there will be family things which will come in place and disturb you. But I am a strong believer ever since. So in 2018, I went through a 6 monthly training program. And in that 6 month training program, I went through a lot of leadership training, a mindset training, mindset and leadership training. And of course, there were some courses on stakeholder management, emotional intelligence, and all those things. One of the key learning that I actually acquired from the training session for 6 months is that you are the best project that you can ever work on. You are the best project for you of your life that you can ever work on. And from there on, I started investing into mentorship program. I did not stop from that time, because I realized that I used to spend a lot of money into something which was not giving any kind of return to me. Return in terms of knowledge, return in terms of money coming back, return in terms of anything which is health, like improving my health. I was investing, not investing, I was spending my money like anything. So one thing that I realized, that because of the fact that you are the best project that you can ever work on, so you should. So I created a budget for myself out of whatever I was earning. I created a budget for myself that every month I will allocate this amount of money for my personal development. Maybe I'm not buying a course every month. I'm not learning every month from somebody, but I will allocate that budget and I would use that at a right point in time. Okay, so I make sure I do that. And if even if you're earning 10,000 rupees, make sure 5% of it is allocated towards your personal development. Because if you are someone who wants to holistically improve, then you have to be a student first, right? If you're not a student, you can never be a mentor, you can never be a coach, you can never be a consultant. So and as I shared previously, that this is what I realized, that after that incident, that your real education starts when you actually graduate out of college, and that's the life education. And if you think that you have stopped now, you just have to work and earn money and you don't have to learn, you're the biggest fool on the planet. And I was like that, for a longer period of time. One thing that I would like to add here, that I actually, it's my self realization. And people think it's a very jazzy word, or I would say it's a very jazzy sentence, that everybody talk about, everybody say it in the videos, the podcast, or every single other person, sports person, says that do it, do that. But I always say this to myself, that Tossi, believe in yourself. It's very easy to say it, but it's very difficult to practically implement it. Now when somebody say believe in yourself, it doesn't just say for the sake of saying it, but your character will actually be tested when you have to take some of the critical decisions of your life. And you have to choose between two. Do you want to follow the herd, or you want to listen to your heart, because you think that you want to continue doing this? A classic example I would like to quickly give within a minute, that in 2019, so I was like managing. I in fact managed, the largest team that I managed was 120 people, and I was into people management for a longer period of time. And there came a time when I wanted to learn something new. A lot of my friends, they were team managers, they were managers, and they were happy managing people. I realized that even if I become a director, I would still be managing people. What is a new thing that I'm learning? And I decided that I want to learn something new. And that's where project management is one of the skill set that is very widely accepted all over the world. I said that I want to learn this because of one fact that with every project, there is something new to learn. Because project has a specific start date, specific end date. It's unlike operation that is ongoing. And you will do the same thing monotonously, again and again and again. But project is very unique. And with every project comes with a new learning. So I decided that I will go into project management. But nothing comes without a cost in life. I was asked that you have to come a position down to move into project management. And I said, okay, fine. As long as it is not impacting me monetarily, I'm okay to do it. I accepted that. I took a step back and I prepared. I gave an interview. I failed. I took the feedback. I went again. I was so through. And when I went through, a lot of people around me were surprised that how can somebody take a jump from operation to project management? It is almost impossible because if you have to start a career in project management, you have to start from the scratch. But I did it. But at that time, you know what people said? Tauseef, how can you go a position down? How can you do that? Nobody comes from, if you're an operation manager, how can you go to a team leader level? It was unacceptable for common people. But I knew what was important for me. I was not looking that position. I was looking for a long-term goal, skill. And within 6 to 7 months, I acquired the new position. I was promoted. I retained that position. Not only that, I started earning more than what my full fellow colleagues were earning. And I learned something new that believe in yourself. When you will embark upon anything new, first of all, your own limiting beliefs will stop you. You will feel a lot of gravity. You will feel a lot of friction. On the top of it, your family members, because they want you to be safe, they want to protect you. They will say, why are you trying something new? You're earning. Your life is good. Why do you want to experiment? And then again, of course, your friends and your your colleagues will say that don't do this, don't do that. But in spite of all these odds, you have to choose yourself. You have to prioritize yourself and believe in yourself.
Definitely. So believing in yourself and daring to learn. One thing which I learned from you today
Of
is
course,
dare to learn. Like we sometimes human beings, right? As human beings, we are afraid of experimenting. We are very comfortable in where we are as long as we are
yes,
having respect, money, relationships. We are very comfortable. So yes, you have to step out of your comfort zone and you have to dare and believe in yourself.
of
So
course.
thank you, Tauseef sir. That is all from my side, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for your precious time. Because I think time is the best gift which we can give to anybody on this earth. Thank you
I'm with
so
you.
much. Thank you so
I'm
much.
with you, and I'm really, really thankful to you as well because I don't know what is the number of this podcast, but I'm really thankful that you have invited me. You've been very kind, and as I said earlier, that I love to share my experience, irrespective of what the setup is. How many number of viewers are. So I'm really, really thankful to you that you've invited me, and I'm really sorry that I was looking very shabby because I actually went somewhere outside. I was traveling somewhere, and after that I had a meeting at 8:30, then 9, then 9:30 I had a meeting fixed with you. I couldn't even get the time to freshen up, but I thought that I would
You
use
know,
this opportunity to share my experience.
the first time I remember I heard you on Speak and Grow,
Okay.
I was like just listening to you like this, and the thing which attracted me was the calm and composed way in which you were sharing your thoughts. You were not in a hurry, you were not using those kind of vocal variety and body gestures which we are generally taught for communication. And you were so serene when you were talking. I loved that. I think I commented also. The first comment which I made on
Hmm.
your video was that I love the way the composed way in which you are speaking. And after that, I think I had followed you. Right now, I'm not active in SAG anymore, but I had been following all your videos because I think I will not, I will be very honest in sharing that I never thought about the content which you were sharing, but I loved the way you were speaking. I mean, the kind of way this man is speaking. How can somebody be so somber when they are speaking? So that is one thing which I learned from you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I one thing that I learned from you as well. And I'm not saying it just because you gave me the compliment, so I want to give it back. But it is God honest truth. You're very energetic and flamboyant. I really love it. So sometime, I realize this to myself that I'm not very energetic when I speak, and and to be honest, I tried to copy a lot of other people, and tried to copy to speak in different styles, only to realize that I am what I am, and let's stay wherever you are and just be you. And I used to, at one point in time, I used to copy Shah Rukh Khan because I really like the way he communicates, and Barack Obama and some of the world leaders. I used to copy them, literally copy them. But I then realized that one of the best lessons from my mentor that be you. So I just started being myself, and then I think that a lot of people give me good feedback. But of course, there are always areas of opportunities. We're all students, and you are also very skilled, having very great communication skills. You have moved on from wherever you started, and now you're teaching kids, and you have your own courses. So all the best to you, and I would love to contribute to however I can to your life's journey, and I'm always open. So thank you so much again for invitation.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good night.
Take care of yourself. Good night.